Could you could you mention again this morning your some highlight from your keynote?
Well, one major message, which I think is relevant in the global scene we see right now, is that there's too much focus on the limitations for media freedom and too little emphasis on the core of freedom of expression, media freedom, and that is the major value, both the right for individuals to express themselves freely, but also the major value for a society that diversity of ideas, opinions, is there and is allowed to develop freely. So freedom should be the rule, and the limitations should be the rare and very specific exceptions.
Yeah, and then also also mentioned about the sometimes frustrate, but this is heavy and the check and balance with politicians. Maybe you could also aware of there might be some frustration around the Nepido.
You might be frustrated about what you read,
what they gather
in about yourselves or your political party or your actions in media. I remember several times when I woke up early in the morning and wondered, how did this interview, how was it reflected in the newspapers? What will I now read? Will it be negative?
And then how the public opinion?
Exactly. But at the end of the day, that's life of when you have position in power, and you should remember, and I certainly remember that the fundamental benefits for society at large, but also for government in investigative journalism, in right to information, because that's a major and very effective tool to fight mismanagement, waste with taxpayers' money. Exactly. And I knew, as civil servant responsible for taxpayers' money, that everything we did could be scrutinized, and that helped us. Frustration is a natural part of the public debate, of freedom of expression, but that shouldn't lead to a discussion about the limitations. It should lead to efforts taken to develop, facilitate, encourage qualitative investigative journalism, and encouraging self-regulatory functioning systems in the community of journalists and editors. The value is in the freedom.
Yeah, you highlight the gender issue in the media sector as well.
Yep.
Please, could you mention it again?
When women's voices are not heard, then you exclude 50% of
population
of the population, and then something must be wrong if 50% of the population, their concerns, their views, diverse as they are, because women and men are individuals, but they have experiences that also must be reflected in the same way as the experiences that men like I have.
Yeah, and I think this morning Minister also highlighted about the bias things. Do you agree, or some of these bias things in the freedom expression level assessments?
I see that we have a global community that has agreed upon global norms. This year we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In Article 19 there we have freedom of expression. And we have the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which Myanmar has accepted now in UN to eventually ratify. And here we have norms on how to organize in practice very much of freedom of expression, what kind of exceptions are acceptable, how should they be constructed, and I think it's important to focus on that global system of norms and apply them in all countries. And I think, as was said today by the presentations from Reporters Without Borders, for instance, that is food for thought, food for debate. Let's debate the substance there. We can have different opinions on it, but remember, we are not talking about any Swedish values or Swedish norms or European norms. These are global norms, and they're very good guidance on how to apply them.
I think a lot of discussion around here. We got a different story from the military, different story from the police, different story from the ministry and the media freedom group and the international community. Would you realize some significant problem, error?
I would like to focus on the opportunities. Myanmar is working with a challenging democratic transition, and there are opportunities available that I heard about here today. Voice after voice saying we need a right to information legislation. I think that was really significant. And we can bring our experiences. We have done that already in various settings, and we can both share experiences on how to do this, making the transparency of public documents, public information, the norm, and the secrecy, the rare exception. That's a Swedish way of applying right to information. We can share that, we do, and we can also say this has helped us become one of the least corrupt countries in the world. We should do better than we do, but it has helped us there. It has helped us expose mismanagement with public funds, and that's how I would like to approach this. Various actors in Myanmar should freely debate.
And also, what are your opinion to the debate between the national image and right to report, right to information?
Fundamental lesson learned there is that you need to be open about your shortcomings. We have benefited tremendously from immigration in Sweden. We also have shortcomings in how to integrate our immigrants. I think we are getting better on that, but the challenges are there. If I would try to hide that or say to my colleagues in the embassy, well, don't talk about that because that might damage
not good image.
We wouldn't be credible. I mean, the first lesson learned, I think, when for me at least as representative of Sweden, is to tell the truth, because it's only then you're credible. And coming back to the value of freedom of expression, it is when different views freely can be meeting each other, competing each other. It's then that societies move forward. Let those different views be freely exposed and discussed, and then if you show that on the international scene, then you are respected, and then you are credible.
Could you let us know some key point you share with Myanmar recently and the futures?
How to manage freedom so that the freedom doesn't mean that individuals are hurt, that you expose individual human beings in media when they are vulnerable or when they are accused of committing a crime. You don't need to have these legal limits for freedom of expression to manage that. Our experience is that you can do that in a self-regulatory system when the various media actors come together and agree, let's make sure that we have ethical guidelines to follow, and let's have a system for managing the violations that take place.
Yeah.
And I think that has been, our system is 100 years old, and that is crucially important that you can do that, because it's so often that you hear people say, well, yes, freedom, but you need to be you need to make sure that it's not managed irresponsibly, and then you get these in many countries these vague, ambiguous legal limitations, and then we are sitting there with the risks that journalists become under attack, perhaps self-censorship.
Would you have some short message to our politicians here in terms of dealing with the very challenging media?
It's an asset for not only for a society but for a government when you have investigative journalism, when you have a functioning right to information legislation, when people can access public documents freely and help a government wanting to fight corruption, wanting to get the machinery working. Then I felt, and I feel, I think most Swedes feel, that has helped us and helped government to govern our society in an effective way.
Maybe heavier.
At the same time as it is right. I mean, let's remember, the 70 years since we all agreed in the world about human rights.
Yeah.
And we did that because we saw what totalitarianism can lead to. And I think that is also the decision taken by the people of this country. We want to move away from that kind of dark past. And then what we are talking about here today, freedom of expression, having that as a rule and the limits as a rare specific exceptions, that is very much what democracy and freedom is all about.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you.